Hi, I'm here with Guy Rubin, Managing Partner for Imperial Tours in Beijing, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in China today and what's hot. Now, Guy, we've talked before about China, and you have a very great boutique tour operator that provides really special experiences throughout the country. But let's talk first of all, what are kind of the hot destinations in China today?
I think there's two things going on at the moment today. I think more people want to explore off the beaten track destinations, so they want to go further west. Mm-hmm. So using Chengdu as a platform, heading out to northern Yunnan, maybe going to Tibet, and then Chengdu itself with its history and everything that it's got with
the pandas, right? Yeah.
And also an incredible culinary scene. Okay. Sichuanese food is very vibrant. Sichuanese people love food, the restaurant scene, and then all the other opportunities that are related to that, that's really taking off now.
And I hear the food is a little bit hot too, spicy.
What makes a tour operator's life hard is finding places that are not too spicy for many travelers coming in. And that can be a challenge in Chengdu. But for people who are interested in food, that's a place where people love food.
And still, for someone who's never been to China before, what is kind of the itinerary that you still recommend?
Many people have not yet been to China, so there's about 4 or 5 weeks of travel, the luxury level within China. But many people, when they go to China for the first time, they're always going to do Beijing and Shanghai. Then about 90% after that will do Xi'an and see the Terracotta Warriors. After that, you're at about 9 nights right there. So then it's a question of who the people are. You know, are they a family? Are they a couple? What do they want to get out of it? And then we'll try and customize it a bit more in terms of the destination. If they can head out west, if they've got time to do it, then we'll do it.
So what about a second visit? What would you recommend?
Oh, exactly. That's exactly when you head out west.
Okay.
So people are heading to Chengdu, to Yunnan, to Tibet. Maybe they'll go to Dunhuang, where they've got the Mogao caves, things like that. If people are into nature, the blue skies, we could go to Guilin or Huangshan. Great just to kick back as a family and just to go and explore the wide open fresh air.
Yeah. Now, are you seeing more families visiting on your tours?
China is the future. I mean, I think what China's got as a destination over a lot of other destinations is the sense of tomorrow. And I think that's what's happening also for Eastern destinations as well. It's a sense of people now starting to realize that China is leading in a lot of applications. For example, software, architecture, contemporary
transportation
art,
too, right?
Transportation,
right.
You've got the train, supercomputers. There's all sorts of ways now that China is moving ahead from being kind of the place where you've got cheap manufactured goods to being the place that's more of a solution for the world. For example, if we talk about pollution.
Most of us think, you know, I know you live in Beijing, and I remember sometimes you would say, it's pretty polluted now, but that was a few years ago, right?
So there's been a 40% drop since 2013 to 2017 in pollution.
How do they do that?
We're seeing a 25% drop now year on year. There's been some very aggressive government action, and I think the government deserves credit for it, but you've got things, so Beijing is still growing as a city, but they've closed a lot of factories down, battery producing factories, coal, fired electricity production centers, heavy industry. There's a whole town which depended on heavy industry that's actually been flattened. And so, you know, the government's been pretty wily. So the same town that had a lot of heavy industry is now the base for the Winter Olympics coming in 2022. So all those people that may have lost their jobs now have their jobs in construction. So that's why I say they've been quite wily to keep economic growth going and at the same time to reduce pollution. And then on the technology side, there are these new apps which have, you know, conquered China in terms of people being able to leave their car at home and now get on a bike. I met with probably China's top hedge fund manager for dinner a month or so ago in Beijing. A guy who's obviously very, very wealthy, and I said, where do you want to meet for dinner? And he said, well, look, could we make it near, you know, the Sanlitun area, because, you know, I'm on my bike, you know, and
so
I don't want to go
too
far. So he's on a bike too. And the great thing that these bike apps are doing is they're encouraging people to move from their car, which is obviously causing pollution. It's got great health benefits, and people are going on the bike now.
Fantastic.
Everyone.
Yeah. And I want to close this out by talking about maybe if you could give us 2 or 3 or 4 maybe 3 special experiences that you see as what's popular. I mean, there's a lot I know, and I've done these with you. So talk about some of the more unusual things you can do that you have part of your tours. I mean, everybody can do what they want, but tell us about some of those things.
There's all sorts of things we can do, James, as you know. We have got a new experience at the moment.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you.
Okay. Please do.
Yeah. So we're now able to offer Temple of Heaven, which is the most sacred site in China. It's 300 hectares large. Usually, if you go there, you're going to be there with about 2,000, 3,000 other people within that site. However, we can now get you access at night to that destination.
And that's a very small group, right?
It's you.
It's you. Okay.
That's it. You're on your own. 300 hectares. It's illuminated for you. I mean, there's nothing quite like it.
Wow.
It's shockingly good.
Well, I know, and I was able to see things like you do lunch on the Great Wall, and you have fabulous experiences in very private restaurants in Beijing and elsewhere. But I think what people don't realize is that you also have these incredibly modern Michelin star restaurants throughout the big cities too, right?
Absolutely. So the Michelin Guide has now come to Shanghai. I think they're in Beijing. I'm not 100% sure about that, but yeah, definitely. So the food scene in Hong Kong, Beijing, Shanghai has definitely taken off. Obviously, Michelin looks more at Western food than Chinese food. I would be very interested in someone starting a Chinese food guide, because obviously the Chinese food in China is nothing related to Chinese food in, say, the US and outside China. The Chinese food in China is absolutely great, and I would like to see someone take up that baton and trying to do more to increase understanding of Chinese food. I was talking about Sichuanese food earlier, which is just an amazing food scene, but it's not the only one. There's a lot of great food, Chinese food.
A lot of great regional food, and believe me, if I go to China, yes, it's interesting to go eat in Western restaurants occasionally, but I really am there for the Chinese food, but a very different Chinese food, as you mentioned.
Well, James, I gave you a pretty good world exclusive there about the Temple of Heaven.
That's great. That sounds like an incredible experience, and I know people will now be hopefully calling you and saying, "Hey, I want to go to the Temple of Heaven." We'll see what happens. Guy, thank you very much for taking the time to give us once again a view of the new modern China that I don't think people still realize is there, and there's advancements all the time, and advancements in travel, and obviously new places to go everywhere in the country.
Yeah, lots to do. People have to change how they think about China. In terms of what I was talking about, technology, it's a place that's really moving forwards. You have to get to China to see the future. That's why families, they definitely need to be there.
Absolutely. Well, Guy, thanks again for taking the time, and we hope to see you within the next year and hear even more about what's going on in China travel for the future.
Thanks a lot, James.
I'm James Shillinglaw for Insider Travel Report.